Here's section 1 of your script: maintaining high quality, concise storytelling, and 1,500 words as requested. The Galactic Council was vast, an unthinkable gathering of species, each seated at the Great Ring. A hall of endless stars stretched beyond the transparent dome above them, an architectural marvel built to remind them of their collective dominion over the cosmos. And yet, despite the grandeur, the room always felt incomplete. A single seat remained unclaimed. It sat at the farthest edge of the chamber, an intricately designed throne, reserved for a race no one had ever met: humanity. The name was spoken in hushed tones, a ghost of history that haunted the Council's records. The seat had been assigned millennia ago, as per an ancient agreement none could decipher. The only known fact was this: Earth was acknowledged as a member of the Council, yet no representative had ever arrived. No emissary, no transmission, no declaration of allegiance or defiance. Nothing. At first, the Council had assumed a clerical error. Bureaucratic inefficiency was universal, even among intergalactic empires. But as centuries passed, concern turned to quiet unease, then to whispered fear. For no species had ever rejected the Council's call. Empires had been annexed, civilizations had fallen to its influence, and yet humanity remained untouched. The more they investigated, the stranger became. Every attempt to reach Earth was met with inexplicable failures. Probes malfunctioned. Survey ships vanished. AI-driven drones returned with corrupted data. And most unsettling of all, there were no records of humanity engaging in war, diplomacy, or even simple trade. It was as if they existed just beyond perception, a civilization acknowledged yet unseen. Speculation turned into legend. Some claimed humans had destroyed themselves long ago, leaving behind only an abandoned planet. Others believed they had ascended, leaving behind the physical realm entirely. A darker theory suggested something worse: that humanity never responded because they were waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. It was not a question of where humans were. It was a question of why they had chosen to remain silent. The Council could no longer afford to ignore the question. With the galaxy in a fragile balance, the unknown presence of Earth was a threat they could not quantify. And so, after millennia of uncertainty, a decision was made. A reconnaissance team would be sent. The mission was a secret. Officially, the Council would deny any operation involving Earth. Even those assigned to the expedition had little information beyond the objective: travel to Sol, land on Earth, and uncover the fate of humanity. Among them was Vareshko, a Zelvari strategist, who had studied every recorded anomaly surrounding Earth. The data made no sense. The planet emitted no distress signals, no signs of occupation, yet maintained functional satellites and planetary defenses. It was a contradiction, a dead world that refused to be treated as such. Alongside him were Mirren, a scientist of the Althari, whose people prided themselves on uncovering cosmic truths, and Garzol, a hardened commander of the Vothrak Dominion, a species that had conquered entire star systems. He had little patience for ghost stories. The ship they boarded was one of the most advanced ever built, equipped with stealth shielding, quantum scanners, and an AI programmed to anticipate unknown threats. Yet as they approached the Sol system, the unease within the crew grew. They passed Pluto, its frozen surface untouched by time, Neptune and Uranus, quiet sentinels in a system that should have been bustling with human activity. The inner planets revealed more of the mystery. Mars, once rumored to be humanity's next frontier, showed unmistakable signs of terraforming. But there were no colonies, no structures, just a world that had been prepared for habitation and then abandoned. The ship adjusted course, heading toward the heart of the system. Earth loomed before them, a blue gem, untouched by war or decay. Unlike other abandoned worlds, there were no ruined cities, no crumbling infrastructure. Everything was pristine, as if life had simply walked away. Mirren's voice broke the silence. "This isn't normal." Garzol scoffed. "A dead world is a dead world. We land, we scan, and we leave." But Vareshko wasn't convinced. Every instinct screamed that this was no ordinary graveyard. As they descended into Earth's atmosphere, the ship's sensors flickered erratically. Automated systems still function, traffic lights, power grids, even broadcast signals. Yet not a single biological life form registered. The ship landed in what had once been a major city. Skyscrapers towered above them, untouched by decay. Streets stretched in perfect symmetry. Vehicles still parked as if their owners had merely stepped away for a moment. Electronic billboards flickered with ancient messages, looping ads from a civilization that no longer needed them. There were no signs of war, no bodies, no destruction. And then, as they stepped onto the surface, the first transmission came through. A single phrase, repeating endlessly in perfect monotone. You were never meant to find us. This section keeps the HFY mystery and tension high, setting the stage for the terrifying revelations to come. Let me know when you're ready for Section 2. The transmission repeated in the same eerie monotone, cycling endlessly across all communication channels. No variations, no distortion, just a simple, undeniable fact. You were never meant to find us. Mirren's hands hovered over a scanner, eyes flicking between data points that refused to align. The readings were contradictory. Earth was inhabited, yet empty. Monitored, yet uncontrolled. Everything functioned, yet no intelligence could be traced back to its operation. Vareshko ran a secondary diagnostic. We're being observed. Garzol snarled. By what? There's nothing here. The city stretched around them in perfect silence. Buildings stood immaculate, power grids hummed, and the streets bore no sign of collapse. Yet the atmosphere felt wrong, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. They moved cautiously through the deserted metropolis. Storefronts displayed goods that should have long since rotted away. Digital interfaces still flickered to life as they approached, responding to beings who shouldn't exist. Mirren gestured to a towering holoscreen embedded in a nearby structure. The system is still maintaining everything. Why? Vareshko's mind raced. Because something wants it to remain exactly as it was. The implication sent a cold dread through the team. A civilization of Earth's size should have left some trace of destruction, some evidence of collapse or disorder. But this was preservation. As they pushed deeper into the city, their presence seemed to awaken something. Streetlights brightened as they passed. Automated doors slid open before they could touch them. It was subtle, yet undeniable. They weren't alone. Garzol's frustration boiled over. He drew his weapon, aiming at the nearest active console. Enough of this. We make contact now. He fired. The energy blast struck the console, and for the first time, something changed. The city responded. The lights cut out in unison. Digital displays flickered with static, and then movement, not from living beings, but from the city itself. Doors locked. Barriers descended. Structures shifted, subtly reconfiguring. A system designed to maintain, now adapting to contain. Mirren's voice was tight. That was a mistake. Vareshko's scanner flared with new readings. He turned sharply. We need to go. Now. They moved quickly, but the city had already begun closing in. Streets rerouted, passageways sealed. What had once been a static environment now functioned like a living organism, redirecting, analyzing, predicting. A trap, long dormant, now awake. The ship's AI sent an emergency ping. External interference was rising. If they didn't return soon, they wouldn't return at all. But just as they reached the outskirts, the transmission changed. The loop phrase cut out. Silence followed, thick and suffocating. Then, for the first time, a new voice spoke. It was human. We see you. It was not a greeting, not a threat, just a simple, undeniable truth. Garzol's grip tightened around his weapon. This is a damn ghost story. Vareshko knew better. This was a warning. The council had sent them to investigate an empty seat, but humanity had never left. They had simply risen beyond the need for one. The voice echoed through every device, every channel. There was no traceable source, no direction. It was as if the planet itself had spoken. We see you. Mirren's fingers flew over her scanner. The readings made no sense. Earth's infrastructure had activated in response to their presence, but there was no organic life, no AI signatures. The systems weren't automated in the way the Council understood automation. It was something else. Vereshko's pulse pounded in his ears. We need to get off this planet. The ship's AI sent another alert. External interference was increasing exponentially. If they didn't leave now, they might not get another chance. But something in the air shifted. A pressure, not physical but undeniable. An unseen force weighing down, watching, assessing. The team moved fast, retracing their steps toward the landing site. Yet every corner they turned, the city changed. Streets stretched longer. Buildings that hadn't been there moments ago loomed where empty spaces had been. The architecture wasn't shifting. It was reacting. Garzo bared his teeth. This isn't real. Some kind of illusion. Mirren shook her head. No, this is a city adapting to us. It wasn't hostile. Not yet, but it was undeniable. The planet was learning from them. They pushed forward, forcing themselves through shifting streets, their route constantly rerouted. Vereshko felt the weight of the silence around them. Not an absence of sound, but something deeper, something patient. Then came the whisper. Not a single voice, but many, words just beyond comprehension, threading through the static of their comms, to the hum of the city itself. It was a presence that had been there all along, merely choosing to reveal itself now. And then, for the first time, something moved. Not a machine, not an automated drone. A shadow, humanoid in shape, standing at the edge of their vision, perfectly still. Then another, and another, dozens, hundreds, watching. Vereshko forced himself to focus. Fear was useless. We keep moving. The team pressed forward, ignoring the growing number of silent figures gathering at the edges of the city. Their ship was close now. One final stretch, one final obstacle. Then the voice returned. You should not have come. The figures stepped forward. For the first time, the team saw their faces. They were human, but not as they should have been. Their eyes held no whites, only shifting pools of darkness. Their skin reflected no light, absorbing it instead. They did not breathe, did not blink. They were not alive. Not in any way the team understood. Garzo raised his weapon. Vereshko stopped him. No sudden movements. The figures did not advance further. They only stared, waiting. The ship's AI sent a final alert. Systems were being overridden. The planet was trying to hold them in place. Mirren whispered, We were never supposed to see this. Vereshko exhaled slowly. But now we have. And that meant only one thing. The planet would not let them leave. The figures did not move, did not speak. They only stared, their presence pressed against the edges of the team's minds, a weight that grew heavier with every second. They were surrounded. Mirren's breathing was shallow, her fingers gripping her scanner, as if it could offer some kind of explanation. But there was none. The readings still refused to make sense. The figures registered as human, yet the data suggested something far beyond biology. Vereshko's instinct screamed at him to move, to run, but he knew that was a wrong choice. Whatever humanity had become, they were not mindless. They were waiting, watching, deciding. Garzo's grip on his weapon tightened. We fight our way through. No, Vereshko said firmly. We don't. The air around them grew heavy. The city itself seemed to pulse, reacting to the moment. The figures, these humans, were studying them, weighing something unseen. And then the voice returned. Not from the figures, not from the city, but from everywhere at once. You were never meant to witness this. Mirren's voice was barely above a whisper. They were never missing. They never left. It had been the only conclusion that made sense. Humanity had not vanished. They had not been destroyed. They had not abandoned their world. They had become something else. Something the galaxy was never meant to understand. The realization struck Vereshko like a blow. The Council had feared Earth's silence, feared what it could mean. But the truth was far worse than they had ever imagined. Humanity had not ignored the galaxy. They had chosen not to interfere. They had watched, waited, and now that they had been discovered, There was a choice to be made. You will leave. The figures did not move, but the city shifted around them once more. A path opened, a single, direct route back to the ship, an escape, a warning. Vereshko did not hesitate. We go. Now. They moved quickly, not looking back, not questioning the opportunity they had been given. The figures did not follow. They simply remained, watching, ensuring the intruders obeyed. The team boarded the ship. Systems flickered, restored. The AI confirmed the interference was gone. They were free to leave. As they ascended, Earth grew smaller beneath them. The blue planet, beautiful and untouched, as if nothing had ever happened, as if they had never been there at all. The council would demand answers. But Vereshko knew the truth could never be spoken. The seat at the council's chamber would remain empty, and for the sake of the galaxy, it was better that way.